Inside the grand halls of Blenheim Palace, an extravagant art exhibit was installed, a fully functional toilet cast in 18-karat gold. This piece, entitled America, was a satirical artwork by Italian artist Maurizio Cattelan, valued at approximately 5.7 million euros. Just 2 days into its public display, the golden commode became the target of an audacious heist. In the darkness, a group of thieves executed their plan. Using 2 stolen vehicles, the gang breached the palace's perimeter. One vehicle, a heavy truck, rammed through a wooden gate on the estate. At approximately 4:50 a.m., intruders wearing disguises smashed a ground floor window near the palace's front entrance. Alarms began to ring as they raced through the corridors to the bathroom where America was installed. With brute force, they sheared through the plumbing fittings that secured the solid gold toilet to the floor. Water gushed from ruptured pipes, flooding the floor as the burglars pried the 98-kilogram fixture loose. The gang then carried the toilet to a waiting vehicle just outside the palace. Security cameras later revealed at least 3 men hauling the toilet and loading it into the back of a car. As they sped off, the thieves abandoned one of their getaway vehicles at the palace gates, evidence left behind in their haste. By the time police arrived, the culprits had vanished into the rural night, and with them went one of the art world's most eccentric treasures. But this wasn't just a flashy robbery by ordinary thieves. Soon, detectives discovered that the stolen gold was being handled by a mysterious figure named Fred Doe, a man with secretive ties to one of Europe's most feared criminal empires, the Kinahan Cartel.
For decades, the Kinahan Cartel operated as a shadowy empire, amassing wealth, power, and fear across continents. But as the new BBC series reveals, even the most notorious criminal masterminds are not immune to fatal errors. Daniel Kinahan, once hailed as a kingpin of Europe's cocaine trade, made a classic gangster mistake, one that ultimately exposed cracks in his billion-dollar empire. This is the story of how ambition, betrayal, and hubris unraveled Ireland's most feared mafia. The Kinahan cartel's journey began in the gritty streets of Dublin during the 1980s. Founded by Christy Kinahan Sr., the group started as a modest drug-dealing operation but quickly evolved into a transnational crime syndicate worth over €1 billion. As Ireland's economy boomed during the Celtic Tiger era, so did cocaine consumption, and with it, the cartel's influence. By the late 1990s, Christy Kinahan had positioned himself as a global player in drug trafficking, arms dealing, and money laundering. When Christy passed leadership to his eldest son Daniel Kinahan, the cartel entered an era of unprecedented expansion. Daniel oversaw operations spanning Ireland, the UK, Spain, Dubai, and South America. The cartel forged alliances with other criminal organizations to form a European super cartel, dominating cocaine distribution across the continent. The cartel's rise was marked by violence and rivalry. Its feud with Dublin's Hutch gang erupted into one of Ireland's bloodiest gang wars. The conflict reached its peak in 2016 during a brazen attack at Dublin's Regency Hotel, a failed assassination attempt on Daniel Kinahan himself. The attack left 1 man dead and sparked a wave of retaliatory killings that claimed 18 lives by 2021. Daniel escaped unscathed and fled to Dubai, where he continued to oversee operations. But this move would later prove pivotal in exposing his vulnerabilities. Despite his success in evading law enforcement and rivals for years, Daniel Kinahan made a critical error: he sought legitimacy. Like many crime bosses before him, he attempted to transition from the shadows into mainstream respectability by leveraging his connections in boxing. Through MTK Global, a company he co-founded, Daniel managed some of boxing's biggest stars and positioned himself as a powerful figure in sports. However, this public visibility drew unwanted attention from international authorities. Investigations revealed ties between MTK Global and Duckashu Consultancy, a shell company used by the cartel for money laundering. The U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned both entities in 2022 and vowed to dismantle the cartel's networks using every available resource. In April 2022, Irish, British, American, and European law enforcement launched an unprecedented operation against the Kinahan cartel. A $5 million reward was offered for information leading to the arrest of Daniel Kinahan and other key figures. Daniel Kinahan's ambition to legitimize his image ultimately backfired. His public association with boxing brought scrutiny that law enforcement exploited to unravel his empire piece by piece. Today, while Daniel remains elusive in Dubai alongside his father and brother, their grip on global crime has weakened significantly. The new BBC series Kinahan, the true story of Ireland's Mafia, dives deep into this saga of power and betrayal. Through exclusive interviews with journalists who risked their lives exposing the cartel and law enforcement officials who orchestrated covert operations against them, viewers gain unprecedented insight into how one man's ambition led to his downfall. In April 2022, the US, UK, Ireland, and Europol launched a joint crackdown on the Kinahans, with a $5 million bounty for their capture. It's believed the family are currently living in Dubai, which signed an extradition agreement with Ireland last year. The law enforcement officers trying to bring Christy SNR, and sons Christy JNR and Daniel to justice also reveal that it was the latter's attempts to sportswash the gang's reputation with his MGM boxing stable, later MTK Global, which could ultimately bring about their downfall. Retired DEA agent Jack Kelly says Daniel committed a classic gangster mistake. Daniel Kinahan made what I call the John Gotti mistake. I'm one of the top gangsters in the world. I'm living it up in Dubai. I'm hanging out at the pool every day, but if no one knows who I am, what good is it? And then he decides to get into boxing promotion. Now everyone knows who the Kinahans are. The dude was becoming a shiny object. There are cops all over the world and they want to be the guy who gets that head up on their wall. It's their ego. It always brings them down. Sunday World journalist Nicola Tallant has been following the gang's rise to international power under Christy SNR's leadership, with his namesake running the money laundering operation, while Daniel is in charge of the drugs empire and murder. She reveals the incredible bond he had with Gary Hutch, nephew of the monk Jerry Hutch, which later turned sour and disintegrated into a bloody feud in Gary's murder on the orders of his former friend in Spain in 2015. They were true friends. They shared everything together. They shared a home, they shared women, they shared their secrets, says Nicola. Gary Hutch saw himself as a partner in the Kinahan mob, and I think he was led to believe he would always be a partner in the Kinahan mob. But when the Hutch gang tried to take revenge for Gary's killing, at the Regency Hotel in 2016, it led to a campaign of bloodshed, in which the Kinahans claimed 16 of the 18 victims. Journalists Alan Sherry and Ernie Leslie captured the killers as they fled, leaving Kinahan associate David Byrne dead in the hotel lobby. This was an attempt by the Hutch organization to take off the head of the snake, and they'd missed. What had they unleashed on themselves, says Nicola. The series also follows the gang's network in England, and how the US views the Kinahan cartel as an international security threat. The first 3 episodes of Kinahan, the true story of Ireland's Mafia, will be available on BBC iPlayer from 6 a.m. on March 31st. The final episode will be available on BBC iPlayer at a later date. Episode 1 will air on BBC One on March 31st at 10:40 p.m. Daniel Kinahan's story serves as a cautionary tale for those who believe they can outsmart justice indefinitely. His attempt to straddle 2 worlds, crime and legitimacy, proved fatal for an empire built on secrecy and fear. As authorities continue their pursuit of justice, Kinahan, the true story of Ireland's Mafia, reminds us that even the most powerful cartels are not invincible. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel to watch more true crime news.